India's economy. The Good, Bad and Ugly in 6 charts in January. Thousands braved the freezing cold at Delhi's Red Fort to hear Prime Minister Narendra Modi speak. His message was, Viksit Bharat 2047, a promise to make India a developed nation by 2047. It's the latest catchphrase from a man known for his penchant for catchy taglines. Developed India is an imprecise pledge, but in the 10 years since Mr. Modi first stormed to power, he has been trying to lay the foundations for a period of economic boom. The Prime Minister and his government inherited an economy that was teetering on the precipice. Growth was slowing and investor confidence was low. A dozen Indian billionaires had gone bankrupt, saddling the country's banks with enormous unpaid loans that had crippled their capacity to lend. Now, 10 years on, India's growth is outpacing other major economies, its banks are strong, and the government's finances are stable despite a painful pandemic. India surpassed the UK as the 5th largest economy last year, and according to analysts at Morgan Stanley, it's on track to overtake Japan and Germany and hit the 3rd spot by 2027. GDPs of India and the UK in 2023 presentational white space. There is undoubtedly an air of optimism in the country. It successfully hosted the G20, became the first to send a rocket near the Moon's south pole, and has birthed a few dozen unicorns. The soaring stock markets have also had a trickle-down effect on the wealth of its middle class. On the face of it, Modinomics, the ruling Bharatiya Janata Party (BJP)'s economic vision for India, appears to be working. But dig deeper, and the picture is more complex. For a vast swath of the country's 1.4 billion people who live on the margins of sustenance, it's not boom time just as yet. So who are the winners and losers of Modinomics? Short presentational gray line 1px transparent line digital revolution. Mr. Modi's push for digital governance has begun to transform the lives of some of the country's poorest people. Today, Indians in the remotest corners of the country can buy many daily goods without cash, paying as little as 20p for a packet of bread using a QR code on their phone. India's digital payments growth. Presentational white space underpinning this digital revolution is a 3-layer system of governance, which includes universal identity cards, a payments infrastructure that enables click-of-a-button money transfer, and a data pillar that gives people access to crucial personal documents like tax returns. Linking hundreds of millions of bank accounts to this digital stack has cut red tape and corruption. Estimates suggest that up to March 2021, an equivalent of about 1.1% of GDP was saved due to digital governance, allowing the government to dole out a volley of social subsidies, cash handouts, and also spend on infrastructure building without running high deficits. Short presentational gray line 1px transparent line cranes everywhere. Everywhere you go in India there are cranes and JCB machines at work giving its creaky public infrastructure a shiny makeover. Take a look at this slick first underwater metro in the eastern Indian city of Kolkata. There's no doubt this country is getting a facelift. Building new roads, airports, ports and metros has been the centerpiece of Mr. Modi's economic policy. He spent over $100 billion annually in infrastructure spending, capital expenditure, in the past 3 years. Capital expenditure of the government over the last few years presentational white space nearly 54,000 kilometers, 33,554 miles of national highways were built between 2014 and 2024, which is twice the length of the preceding 10 years. The government has also considerably eased up the bureaucracy, which has been a major bugbear of India's economy for decades. But Mr. Modi's policies haven't delivered for all. The brutal lockdowns imposed during the pandemic, the lingering after effects of a cash ban in 2016, and faulty implementation of a new goods and services tax, a long-pending reform meant to streamline the country's welter of indirect taxes, have had far-reaching structural consequences on India's economy. The country's vast unorganized sector, small enterprises that form the backbone of this country, are still reeling under the impact of some of these decisions. And the private sector is not committing big investments. As a proportion of GDP, private investments slumped to barely 19.6% in 2020-21 from a peak of 27.5% in 2007-08. Short presentational gray line 1px transparent line jobs blues in January. Thousands gathered outside government recruitment centers in the northern city of Lucknow to go to Israel for jobs in the construction industry. My colleague Archana Shukla was on location. The desperation of these workers showed India's jobs crisis is real. And it is crushing aspirations everywhere.